Hello and welcome to the Planet Playground podcast with me, Tom Bushell. This is the podcast that explores our planet through sport and adventure, helping you get to the very best sports events and experience unforgettable adventures because our planet is our playground. On the podcast, I'm speaking to those who have travelled the world competing in, watching and experiencing the very best sports events and adventures. And on this week's episode, I'm joined by a football and rugby television presenter who you will know from watching TNT Sports and Premier Sports. Emma Dodds is with me. Hello, Emma, and welcome.
Hello. Hello, thank you for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on in the early stages of the Planet Playground podcast. So I appreciate your time today. But you're a wonderful guest to have because, of course, you've travelled so much with sport as a fan, but also working in the media industry as well. So I'm looking forward to chatting to you about your favourite events around the world across football, rugby, golf, and anything else that you have as well. And I must start with the fact that we were born in the same hospital 2 weeks apart, and what was it, 30 years later we discovered that when we actually met in Dubai, and quite the coincidence, wasn't it?
So crazy, and it goes to show how old we are that the hospital doesn't actually now exist anymore. It's been knocked down. But yeah, we were born in the same hospital.
Did they sort of think, is this the calibre of newborns that we're producing, right? We're going to have to shut this place down.
Exactly. Oh dear, what have we done? Let's close it before we get any more. But yeah, it was kind of you were born a couple of weeks before me, but I was holding on to become a scorpion, which I am completely. So I couldn't come out too early when it was Libra. Had to hang on and wait until it was Scorpio zodiac time.
I did hang around for a bit just to wait for you so I could welcome you into the world with a drink. I was thinking a nice beer would be nice, just to say, look, welcome. This is what I've discovered over the last couple of weeks. Let's crack on with supporting Newcastle United for a start.
That's so strange that we met each other in Dubai. It wasn't even like we met each other in Newcastle. And then it got down to where were you born? It's like, what?
I know, yeah. It's
small
so
world,
strange.
Isn't it?
It is a small world, yeah. And to make it an even smaller world, I've since got engaged, and it turns out you know half of my fiance's family as well. So you get everywhere, Emma.
Scotland's an even smaller country when it comes to who's who. There's always just 1 degree of separation.
Clearly, I'm learning this. Yeah, I am learning this.
Yeah.
Let's start with the early life though, because I know obviously born in the northeast, in North Shields, in the hospital we were both born in. That of course is essentially Newcastle United turf all over in that part of the world, isn't it? But you've since, obviously live in Scotland now, a massive Rangers fan. But talk to us about that early life when you discovered football. I presume Newcastle United was the first team that you sort of were aware of. But talk us through that story of growing up and falling in love with football.
Yeah, so my family are fanatical Newcastle United fans, all of them. As you hear from the accent, I haven't actually lived down there for much of my life. I was born there. But my parents actually were living in Scotland at the time, and they went back down to Newcastle. So my mum could give birth. We had a house down there, and then we quite quickly moved back up to Scotland. But yeah, my grandparents, all my aunts and uncles, everyone massive Newcastle United fans. And we lived at the time, on the Isle of Skye. That's where my parents lived when my mum was pregnant. They used to work in hotels at the time, and then they finally went on to sort of manage hotels. But that took them to Edinburgh after that, and quite close to Tynecastle. So the hotel was quite close to Tynecastle. So my dad would go to Tynecastle to watch football there, and obviously St James's Park. And then a couple of stops later, we ended up on the west coast, so just outside Glasgow. And the guy in our village who owned the local pub that my dad used to go to was a huge Rangers fan. And the brewery that supplied our hotel was Skol Lager, which used to sponsor the League Cup. So it was the Skol Cup when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And my dad used to go as a guest of Skol to Ibrox to watch the football. And he always used to bring me back this little... It's so bizarre. They used to get given a lunchbox. So they would obviously get a meal and then this little box with like a sandwich, an apple, a bag of crisps. I just think of these guys in suits who've obviously been having a couple of beers watching the football off to their seat with their lunchbox. Anyway, my dad would always bring it home for me, and I absolutely loved it. And then I think my
It's like
first,
the early forms of corporate hospitality.
yeah,
That's sort of yeah.
yeah, yeah. You take your food to your seat with you.
Yeah.
So that was the start of it. So that's why my dad started going to Ibrox because his friend was a Rangers fan. And then my first game, I think I was about 7, and I remember getting the full kit, socks to my knees, shorts, top. I've still got the top actually, and going into Ibrox, and we sat in the Broomloan stand, and I just remember walking up. And I don't know if you can remember your first visit to a professional football stadium. I remember walking up the steps, and you were obviously quite small, and just seeing, like, because at the time Ibrox had lots of multicoloured seats, all of the seats and the pitch, and just being like, and I mean the stadium was quite empty at this point, and just being like, oh wow, look at
Yeah.
this. And I remember it
It,
so vividly, and that was it.
it is a
Hooked.
moment, isn't it, to be savoured? And I still get that today when I visit stadiums that I haven't been to
Yeah,
before. And like
yeah.
I went to the Bernabeu last year, and I walked up the steps, and then you see the pitch, and what a moment it is!
What a
It never
stadium
leaves you, does
it
it?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, what a stadium. I mean, I went there last season for work, and again, when you sort of work in the industry, you sometimes, I think, get a little bit numb to it all. You get a little bit blasé with actually how lucky you are.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I walked out onto the pitch side of the Bernabeu the day before the game, and I was like, wow, like this place is incredible. You know, the renovation, absolutely. And I felt like I was that 7-year-old kid again. I've just been like, whoa, this is
It,
really cool.
It's I had the completely opposite experience to you because you would have been pitch side, as you say.
Yeah.
I was on the very back row behind the goal, but
And
I
that's
have to
high.
say. It is high.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the renovations have brought escalators to the Bernabeu, so
Ah,
actually it was
right.
quite a pleasant experience. But I have to say, from the top row looking down,
Mm.
it is. I'd almost say that's the best as a fan. That's the best place to
Hmm.
go, just to get the full panoramic of the stadium. Because what a sight it is laid out in front of you.
Yeah, and they've got the screens around the whole roof. You
Mm,
know, the ever changing, which is
yeah,
really, yeah, it's really impressive. Yeah, and St James's Park is exactly the same. Like, I absolutely love going back to St James's Park. I love, going to work there and going back as a fan because I went so many times as a fan, sitting behind the goal there. Just, I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's a feeling that I just don't think ever leaves you when you are passionate about a sport. You know, even rugby
yeah,
stadiums, going to watch Scotland at Murrayfield and stuff.
yeah.
And it's really funny because I actually grew up supporting England. My dad would always take me to the England day. To England we went to watch cricket. We'd go to see, England play Scotland in the English end at Hampden, for example. And it wasn't until I moved abroad, I moved to Paris, and I was a bit like, sort of really feel Scottish. Like, I don't really feel English. So I think I need to finally come clean with my family and be like, look, I think I'm pretty much Scottish, so we need to deal with this. So yeah,
We need to
I,
address this subject. Yeah.
yeah, there's a sort of elephant in the room here. But yeah, when England are playing, I want them to do well. But if they're playing Scotland, I want Scotland to win.
That's. I mean, you've got in terms of club football, you've chosen two highly passionate teams to follow, haven't you?
Yeah.
Obviously, Newcastle United, but mostly Glasgow Rangers, and good times for both teams as well at the moment. Newcastle United having just won their first cup in 70 years, and
Hmm.
also, of course, Rangers just been taken over, haven't they? So exciting times
Yeah.
for both teams.
Absolutely. I mean, seeing Newcastle win a trophy, honestly, I mean, my dad passed away a couple of years ago, but like my mum was here, and like just being able to share a moment like that with your family, and all my cousins, everyone who is just so passionate about Newcastle, it's like you'd sort of forgotten what it felt like. We'd never experienced it really as Newcastle fans. It's certainly not, as adults. So it's like absolutely incredible to actually have that moment. And I mean, I was actually working at a game up here in
I,
Scotland, so I couldn't go.
I
And
did
it was
want to bring
like,
that up because I happened to be at Wembley for it, but
yeah,
you were in Dundee.
I was doing a Dundee Derby, which is actually a brilliant game. But I remember driving home in the car, and those last few minutes on the radio, oh my word. And I got home in time to have a glass of champagne, like with the family, and I had my Newcastle top on, and it was just like, oh, it was absolutely brilliant. It was such a great, it was the sort of, not being there was really sad, but still able to enjoy it.
Yeah, I have to say, being there was incredible. It's the first time, as a Newcastle United fan, it's the first time I was surrounded by 35,000 men crying
Yes.
at full time. It was quite an emotional
Yeah.
experience. Bring on a new season in the Champions League. You mentioned you lived in Paris, but we both met whilst we both lived in Dubai. So let's talk about
Yeah.
Dubai a little bit for its sporting attractions and also adventures. Now, maybe two things that people who maybe haven't visited Dubai or have been and enjoyed sitting by the pool for a week or 2 weeks and enjoying the hotels that Dubai have, maybe they don't realise just how rich in sports culture
Mm.
and sporting events Dubai is, and adventures, of course, with the mountains if you drive out of town an hour or so. But yeah, I mean, for sport, Dubai is brilliant, isn't it? And thinking golf, tennis, darts, the list is
Mhm.
rugby sevens. What did you enjoy so much about living in that part of the world?
It's absolutely amazing for sport. I mean, the industry that we work in, it's like you have 6 months of the year that is absolutely non-stop, and then sort of 6 months that's a bit slower, which is obviously over summer, the hotter months. But it always coincides, the busy period coincides with when people want to come and visit you because they want to come and enjoy the sporting events, want to come and enjoy the cooler weather. And I mean, if you're a fan of sport, it is such an unbelievable destination. You know, if you're into golf, you mentioned it there, you get the world's top golfers coming in pretty much, if memory serves me right, it's like November, isn't it? Sort of October, November, and then into January, the start of the season again, down in Abu Dhabi. And, you know, the F1 as well, the rugby sevens, you mentioned it, the tennis, the Dubai Duty Free Tennis Championships, which when we were there, I had Roger Federer, Djokovic, Andy Murray. I mean, I had the best players in the world coming, and because of the way it's set up, we would get like an hour sitting with Roger Federer, wouldn't we? Like
Yeah,
just chatting, being
yeah,
able to interview him as the sort of host broadcaster, because we would always
yeah.
be the media right partner in the region, and it's the same with the golf. I mean, I remember doing an interview with Rory McIlroy in the Bose store in Dubai Mall, for an hour, sitting there ahead of the Olympics in Rio, and it's like you would never get that access like over here. But yeah, not even that. Horse racing, Dubai World Cup, you know, and we did the Dubai Tour cycling, there's the marathon. I've got a picture of Haile Gebrselassie sitting with my Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games blanket wrapped round his shoulders because he was freezing in the morning. My
I,
dog now
I
enjoys sleeping on that blanket.
I
It's so
remember
random.
interviewing. I remember getting my three questions with Serena Williams one year at the tennis, and then all of the press did their three questions, and it was like one by one. And then at the end of it, we're all sort of just hanging around on the roof terrace of the hotel next to the tennis stadium. And Serena Williams was just sort of hanging around, didn't really have anything to do for the next half an hour. And then I was approached and said, listen, Tom, if you want more, Serena's here. So we ended up having a half an hour's one-to-one interview for TV. And like you say, the access we used to get was
Hmm.
incredible, wasn't it? Can you imagine that
Yeah.
happening in the UK? Tom, Serena's not up to much if you want to just have a chat for half an hour. Yeah, great. That'd be...
Absolutely insane. Honestly, it's insane. And
But
we did it with like Sebastian Vettel. I remember going
yeah,
doing a track drive with David Coulthard at the Autodrome, and like he was driving around this track. I don't think I've ever been this scared in my life. But then Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel, it was when they were with Red Bull, came down and they were doing donuts on the Dubai
yeah.
skydive area on the runway in their F1 cars, and you've just got all of these people who are there on holiday. Like, what's happening here? Well, it's just Sebastian Vettel doing donuts in an F1 car, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for fans as well, it's worth pointing out that it's really easy to. I mean, the golf events, some of the biggest golf events, they're free. There's free tickets on
Yeah.
certain days of the tournament. It really is set up well for fans, isn't it? I mean, obviously Abu Dhabi up the road with the Grand Prix as well. I mean, there's a price to pay to be a Grand Prix race, certainly Abu Dhabi, but it's still not bad in terms of the value you're getting when you get access to all the theme parks and everything's on Yas Island. They do events very well and they do sport very well.
Yeah, they do. And not only that, around the Grand Prix as well, you get the concerts. You know, my family came over at that period of the year one time when I was living over there, and they went to the golf up at DP World. They were at the F1 at Abu Dhabi, and you know, and in that they got the tickets. I think it was the Who that were playing. I mean, they were absolutely cock a hoop at the time. You know what I mean? Not everyone's cup of tea, but it worked perfectly for them. But it is, you get such a lot for your money, and as you say, come over with the family, leave them in the hotel or at the water park. If you're into your golf, nip over to the Emirates or, wherever you might be going up to Jumeirah Golf Estates, and you can take in a day or two watching some top class golf, have, a couple of beverages on the sidelines, and like you say, you can eat, you can drink. It's fantastic. It really is brilliant, brilliant entertainment. But even, some of the lesser known ones as well, like the Dubai World Cup, if you happen to come over when that's on, that's another amazing one. You're seeing top class horse racing, and there's nearly always a concert on. Kylie's been over, Janet Jackson. I mean, top names as well. We're not talking about your local pub singer here.
Absolutely, absolutely. I must mention the golf as well. They've changed the schedule. So Abu Dhabi now, the HSBC Championship, runs directly into the DP World Tour Championship. So 2 weeks back to back in November. Just to put it out there, if anyone is looking to book a golfing holiday, there's 2 weeks in the UAE there in November when the weather is nice and warm as the UK gets a little cooler. What a great couple of weeks that is to have two major events back to back. And as I say, on certain days, those tournaments free to attend as well.
Crowds are not like when you see the US Open or you see the Masters, the crowds are not packed 10, 15 people deep. You can actually be at the ropes here. Like it's a really nice event to go to. I used to love working at these events because again, we get great access to the players, and like you say, you can literally be standing on the ropes watching Rory McIlroy or Henrik Stenson or whoever it would have been that was there at the time. Yeah, it's brilliant. It is incredible. Really good.
It is incredible. Talking of Dubai very quickly, I sent it over to you on WhatsApp the other day, but 10 years since we enjoyed a night at the darts in Dubai. And it was around that time that darts had just started to come over and visit Dubai, wasn't it? And that's quite, I mean, have you been to other darts events in the UK? I think they're brilliant events to go to, sporting events to go to. In Dubai, they hosted it at the tennis stadium at that time, didn't they?
So it was outdoors as well, which is such an unusual concept for a darts tournament. Yeah, I've been to one in Glasgow, but I haven't been to Ali Pali. That's on my list. So I think this year I'm going to make a big effort to try and go down in December to go to Ali Pali.
You're based on the west coast of Scotland now, of course, just north.
Slightly different in the weather. Slightly different in the weather.
Yeah, slightly different way of life. Just to the northwest of Glasgow. But let's talk about Scotland for its sport and adventure highlights, because first of all, from a sporting point of view, I often talk about how Edinburgh is such a great sporting city, rugby, football, golf, ski slopes, surf centres now, but Glasgow equally too. Plus you have that west coast of Scotland, which has some of the most incredible golfing destinations, passionate football support in Glasgow as well. For you, talk us through some of the sporting and adventure highlights where you live.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Glasgow's brilliant. I mean, you mentioned it there. You've got the big two in Glasgow, Rangers and Celtic, but you've then got the likes of Partick Thistle, you've got Queen's Park, you've got St Mirren at Paisley. So you're spoiled for choice when it comes to football. You know, I mean, no matter what time you want to go and watch football, you'll be able to find something. We've also got rugby as well. You know, we've got Glasgow Warriors in there, and you know, you've got the clubs below them that sort of help supply. You know, you've got the schools that go into like the western sides, and so. For us here, it's absolutely brilliant. And then you talk about the West Coast. If you sort of head west, Oban, or even up north towards Inverness, like Fort William, you get like Shinty. And you actually get a proper taste of Scottish, you know, sport at its very, very best. And these are basically on pitches in a town with all the local supporters. I mean, Bob McIntyre, the golfer, is a massive, massive fan of Shinty. He's from Oban. I've got a few friends that work on it, and it is a cracking day out. Like, if you're just looking to jump on a train and head up to Oban or sort of Mallaig, anywhere around there, the scenery is incredible as you go up there. And then once you get there, you probably have the finest seafood in the world. I'm a bit biased, but you've got the finest seafood in the world. And you could go and have a real taste of some local sport. And it's not for the faint-hearted, let me put it that way.
Talk us through, Oban's a great destination. Up on the West Highland line, on, as you say, that railway is incredible. Oban itself, an amazing destination. I've never played Shinty. Talk us through, I mean, can someone who's never played before go up to Oban and have a go?
I don't think so. It's pretty dangerous. I mean, it's pretty ruthless. I mean, it's almost like an ice hockey helmet type thing, and then you've got I don't know what you call it, like the bat stroke. It's like a cross between like hockey and lacrosse, maybe, like a sort of funny shaped sort of instrument that you basically batter people with. I mean, I haven't played it. I have watched it, and it is brutal. So yeah, I would perhaps watch it online first before you start enrolling in any classes. And yeah, if you value your sort of knuckles and your teeth, but it's brilliant to watch. It's brilliant because it's so passionate and it's actually so competitive. Because a lot of the towns who have their own teams, I mean, this is like local derbies, it's local bragging rights. It's, there's a lot on the line here for these guys, and you sort of do it. I mean, hopefully the weather's nice if you do manage to do it, but it's well worth just having a little Google if you want to go and see something a little bit different from like football or rugby or anything like that. Like it's a really cool local sport.
Yeah, what we'll do is I'll put on the myplanetplayground.com, the website. I'll put a list of where you can watch Shinty, and
Yeah.
we'll do some research and find out where the best. Because yeah, what a great day out in Oban to head up there. So as you say, some of the seafood, watch the local sport of Shinty. Yeah, it's a great destination, isn't it? And you mentioned the Isle of Skye as well. So you lived on the Isle of Skye, did you say?
When I was very young, yeah, my parents were the managers of a hotel there before I was born. And then, as I mentioned, my mum went
Right.
back down to Newcastle to give
Yeah.
birth to me. So I think we maybe only stayed about another year after that. And then that's when we
Okay.
moved over to the mainland down to Edinburgh.
I mean, what a
So
great place to call
I
home for
know
a short period of time. Yeah.
I've never actually been back since, but it's on my list to do because, I mean, you talk about brilliant places to go, and it is so beautiful. And there's an incredible circular hike there. I think it takes like 3-4 hours that I really want to do as well. Because again, west
Around
coast of
the
Scotland,
island.
yeah, it sort of goes around the island. It's quite, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but quite a famous sort of path. So it's well signposted once you get over onto the island. It's a really nice sort of not too challenging. It's not too scrambly or anything, but it's a good workout and a good really scenic route that you can go around the island. But that's
That's
another thing. If you're into hill walking, West Scotland is incredible
yeah.
as well. You head up through Glencoe and up. I mean, you can basically just tick off your Munros and your mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've almost got a weekend there, haven't we? A train up to Oban, watch some shinty, seafood, get the ferry over to the Isle of Skye, bit of hiking, and complete nature, wilderness. Get the
Yeah.
ferry back, and what a lovely weekend that would be.
You've got the Isle of Mull. You've got once you get to Mull, you can go to Iona. There's Coll. I mean, there's so many you can do, or you can head up to Ullapool and head over to Skye from Ullapool, and then work your way. You've got Harris and Lewis. I love the west coast of Scotland. I'm a huge advocate of it. A lot of people go to the east coast when they come over to Scotland, which is also cool. St Andrews. You've got Ely. You've got Crail. Like if you're into golf, you've got Gullen. All of these destinations, which are absolutely incredible. But the West Coast is really beautiful. It's really,
Yeah,
really stunning, and there are some cracking golf courses up along the
there
coast as well. Yeah,
there
I love
really
it.
are. I think. I mean, you're right. The East Coast is stunning, but the West Coast, I think what it has that the East Coast doesn't have is the islands, right? And
Yeah,
and
and the
how
and the
that
beaches
adds.
on Harris
Yeah.
are second to none. Like honestly, they are so breathtaking. If you haven't seen them, Google them. Like the beaches on Harris, absolutely stunning. So what I mean. And if you're into like water sports and things like that, or paddle boarding, you know, stick it in the car, inflate it when you get up there, and off you pop. It fantastic.
Exactly. Great adventure weekends. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure. Let's talk about work then and your travels around Europe, working for TNT Sports, Premier Sports as well. Some of the best football and rugby stadiums you've been to with work because there are plenty.
Mm.
But where has stood out for you in terms of looking up to experiencing a stadium and its atmosphere, and where have you been where you thought I really should recommend fans who want to experience a great football or rugby experience, they should come here. Where stands
Yeah.
out for you through all your travels?
There's so many amazing stadiums, like so many interesting atmospheres, and they're all so very different. Like I remember going to Belgrade to do a game, and the security around there is insane. I mean, you know a lot about football ultras over there and hooliganism and all of the sort of negative things that come with it. And I remember sitting there at the start of the game, and I'm trying to think if it was Red Star or Partizan Belgrade. I can't remember exactly which game it was, but it was about 3 or 4 years ago I went. And it's a huge bowl-like stadium. It's quite shallow, and you're quite far away from the pitch. And I remember sitting there thinking, it's not that impressive, this atmosphere. It's not really like, I've been to Old Firm games, I've been to different types of derby matches, and I was like, "Hmm." And then really slowly, as the game started, you could just sort of sense this sort of rumbling. And it started to build and it started to build. And about 10 minutes into the match, the noise was unbelievable. The entire place was almost rocking and bouncing, and it was just like so supportive of their team. And I had to do the pitchside interviews after the game. And so before the match, you always get a stadium tour. And there's this ginormous long tunnel that you have to walk up. And it's what the players walk down and walk up to get back and forth to the dressing rooms. And it's all been graffitied to sort of intimidate the opposition. But to get from the stand where I was sitting to the pitch side, you have to go down a huge tunnel and then up another huge tunnel because you basically go under the stand. And I remember opening the door with about 10 minutes to go of the game, and the entire tunnel was filled with riot police, like stormtrooper riot police. And I opened the door and I was like, oh, like they were lining it, obviously, to then go down pitch side once the game was finished. I've never been more intimidated in my life. I had to walk down, and I was with one other colleague walking down, and I was like, oh, don't make eye contact with them. They were terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And finally, I got out the other end.
They're there for your safety, Emma.
I know, but I couldn't have been more scared if I'd tried. So that was one. An atmosphere that I had been told about but never experienced until a couple of years ago was the Westfalen, Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
The yellow wall.
Yeah.
And the game I went for was a Champions League quarter-final, I think, against PSG. I think they were playing PSG. And it was incredible. Like it was, knockout European football, so there was a lot riding on it. It was incredible. And the yellow wall, I mean, you sort of have to see it to believe it. I think it's 25,000 people in this one stand, and they all stand up, whereas the rest of the stadium is seated. And the way you come down to go pitch side, you walk down these stairs and you can sort of see along the stand, and you just see all of these people, and they've all got these huge flags. It's such a sight to just look along and you see them all standing line up, and it's all yellow. It really is incredible. And then once they start, fantastic.
Yeah, I think Dortmund's a terrific football destination. Actually,
and it's a great city, great place.
Yeah, it's sort of, it reminds me actually quite a lot of Newcastle, industrial past, passionate football fans, and the stadium is almost the beating heartbeat. It's not quite in the centre of the city. That's like St James's Park is. It's a short metro ride away, but when you get there, the atmosphere outside, I was there for a Champions League game as well. The atmosphere outside is brilliant. And some of the food, what I find in a lot of these European football stadiums, as you walk to the stadium, the food stalls and, the local cuisine they're serving, it's just phenomenal. PSG's the same, the food stalls as you walk up to the Parc des Princes, they're such tasty food. But yeah, Dortmund is brilliant. And then once you're inside that stadium, the noise is immense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Because I'm very much a food person. When I travel, I like to eat, try different things in the local cuisine. And the town square in the middle of Dortmund, I would recommend if you ever go there.
Yeah.
And there's a place on the corner, and you go in. I'm not kidding. This place looks like something out of Harry Potter. It's sort of all wooden, and it looks, I mean, dare I say it, like it's about to fall down. But it does the most amazing local cuisine, like the pork knuckles and the schnitzels and all the different things that they have over there. Go there, have a couple of beers, and then make your way out to the stadium. And like you say, then you're just surrounded by the sort of bratwurst, currywurst, and the smell, like you're walking into the stadium. Is really cool. And when you get in there, I was there actually this season for their game against, who were they playing? I want to say Barcelona, and they were like 4-0 down or 5-0 down or something from the first leg, and so they had nothing to lose. And the atmosphere from half an hour before the game was incredible, because the crowd knew they had to get them going, and they scored after like 10 minutes. And it was a brilliant game. It was like end to end. It was like exactly what you want as a neutral going to a knockout European football game. Brilliant atmosphere, absolutely sensational. Yeah, I'd really recommend Dortmund as a destination.
Great.
To be honest, any German football ground is brilliant. Like Hamburg is great. I mean, obviously Bayern Munich is huge, isn't it? But I think some of the slightly, lesser clubs, these all have amazing atmospheres, and you can probably pick up a ticket pretty easily. I'm not sure about Dortmund, how easy it is to get a ticket, but yeah, the German clubs, they do have an absolutely brilliant atmosphere.
It's very similar to English football, really, isn't it, in terms of the passion for supporting their clubs. I notice, because I love Spanish football and the atmosphere that generates, but it's a different atmosphere. Whereas in England and Germany, there's a lot more sort of unified chanting, and everyone knows the words to sing for the songs and what have
Yeah,
you. Whereas in Spain, it often seems it's not words, it's sounds that they produce to
that's
try
right.
and get the team going, or if they're unhappy at something. Whereas in Germany, in the UK, it's much more vocalized.
Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, the other thing as well, like when I lived in Paris, I used to go to the Parc des Princes all the time, and the atmosphere there is fantastic. It's obviously the dynamic has changed now, and they're now European champions, so getting a ticket to go there will probably be quite difficult now. But that is, for me, probably one of the best atmospheres in French football.
I
I also
agree.
went right
Yeah.
up to the north, to Lens, I think it was. I think they're on the Belgian border. And I actually went to Belgium for some mille frites for lunch, and then crossed back into France to then go to the game, which is
An
quite fun.
intercontinental football day out.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
exactly. And you can get your mille frites and waffles, and then just jump back across the border into France and go to the Lens game. They were playing PSG, which is why I got up to that game. That was really fun. And another stadium that I actually find really interesting, and weirdly I've ended up being there about 3 times in the past few years, is Braga in Portugal. Their
Nice.
stadium is like built on the side of a rock. It's quite high up outside the city or the town, and
Yeah.
it's built into a rock. Like Google the stadium because it's really cool to watch. And they have these wires from one stand is built into the rock, and they have these wires that go across the pitch to hold the other stand in place. It's sort of slightly disconcerting when you're there because you're thinking, how strong are these wires? But it's really cool. And I had one of the best meals I've ever had in Braga in a restaurant there. I actually wrote it down. It's called Cartillo. And bizarrely, I totally, unbeknown to me, ended
Is
up,
that the restaurant?
yeah, Cartillo's the restaurant. And I ended up there twice, like totally by mistake. Like I just was going down this street and I was like, oh, that looks nice. And it wasn't until I was in it, I was like, oh, I've been here before. And the food, I mean, obviously, if you like meat, Portugal is definitely a place to go. And it was really great. And that's a fun weekend, sort of going over there to Portugal and Braga. The Dragao Stadium in Porto is incredible as well.
Yeah,
Go
that's a lovely little, because they're close together, aren't they, Braga
Yeah,
and Porto?
yeah.
So what a
So
great
if you're
little
gonna
weekend that would be.
if you're gonna go to Portugal, you could do that. Do Braga and Porto,
Yeah.
and go to the Dragao Stadium in Porto, which has been built so where you sit in the stand, there is a gap between the top of the stand and the roof, and you can see the city through the stadium. It's really cool, especially if you're a night game and it all starts to twinkle. It's sort of daylight and
Yeah.
it goes into evening.
Yeah.
And again, you eat very well, and then you can go down to the riverside. It's really pretty. It's cool there actually, and you can watch some good football as well.
This sounds like perfect Planet Playground sports travel itineraries. Very quickly on Paris, the Parc des Princes I think is amazing. The atmosphere, it's a proper footballing experience, isn't it? I also love the district that the Parc des Princes is in because, of course, you've got Roland Garros over the road,
Yep.
where the French Open takes place. You've got the rugby stadium where Paris FC, who
Now
have been
play.
promoted, is literally over the road from Parc des Princes. It's a great little area of Paris to go and explore and go and watch sport, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's Saint-Cloud. Saint-Cloud it's
Yeah.
called in Paris, Boulogne, around that area. And yeah, it's brilliant. There's a great little restaurant called Les Princes on the
Yeah, I know it.
roundabout
Yeah,
next
yeah.
to the Saint-Cloud metro when you get out. On the
Yeah.
roundabout, you just walk through 5 minutes and you're at the Parc des Princes. But yeah, I did the tennis at the Olympics last year in Paris. So I was at Roland Garros every day for that, and it is such a great little area. But you couldn't make it up with Paris FC being in that stadium. I mean, it's literally like this. They're across
it is.
the
Yeah.
street from
It's
each other.
literally
It's
a road.
crazy.
Yeah, that
And
separates
when you
them.
see
Yeah.
the overheads of it, the stadium, they're so impressive, both stadiums.
I took this photo on my drone just to show you, but
There you go.
the rugby stadium's just here, isn't it? Just here, and it's a phenomenal place to go if you love your sport because
Yeah.
fantastic. Just with Rangers, we're talking about European football stadiums. Obviously, closest to your heart it will be Ibrox. It's a wonderful stadium. Talk us through the highlights. Where would you go pre-match for Rangers? How best to and where would you sit at Ibrox? Just being in Glasgow, going to a Rangers game. What are the highlights for you?
I would probably head to Finnieston, the sort of west end of Glasgow, because you can then just walk over the bridge. You don't even really need public transport from there. I'd head if you're in the city centre of Glasgow, get a bite to eat, or I would head down to Finnieston. Crab Shack is my number one. I don't know if everyone likes seafood, but it's a gorgeous little seafood restaurant in Finnieston. Oxenfinch is another one that does great food. You can go there, have a quick bite to eat. The Ben Nevis is a little pub on the corner. They sometimes have Scottish music playing. It's a really nice, it's got a great whisky collection as well, if that's your thing. And you can just walk through the cut, walk over. It's called the Squinty Bridge, which is pretty self-explanatory when you get there. It's a bridge that's squint, but you can walk across that. And Ibrox is probably a 15-minute walk from there, 15, 20 minutes. It's not, geographically it's not far, but by the time you sort of amble through the streets, you can head up there, go to the game. You know, I don't even know which parts of Ibrox now they sell tickets for. I think it might be the Broomloan side, which is the side you can buy tickets for if you're not a season ticket holder, for example.
Okay, yeah.
Which is behind one of the goals.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then again, after the match, you can either get the subway into Glasgow, which will take you directly into Glasgow, or you can head back over the bridge into Finnieston, which is a really short walk into the city centre as well, so you can sort of make your way. It's quite easily accessible from the city, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't want to take public transport, because it's quite challenging. Like, you have to get there early if you've got a car, get parked up. It's a bit like any football ground when there's that many people. But no, it's a great day out. It's a really nice afternoon. Oh, and if the stars align, you can take in a game at Ibrox and head back across the bridge and take in a game at Glasgow Warriors at Scotstoun. Because that is just the other side of the river. It's just a little bit further down the river, but sometimes the kick-off times can be sort of 5:30 in the rugby, depending on where the game has been scheduled. Or you can do Friday night at Scotstoun, because quite often for TV, Glasgow Warriors will play on a Friday night. Do Friday night at Scotstoun, watch Glasgow Warriors, stay overnight in Glasgow, head in to the West End for lunch, quick bite to eat, make your way over to Ibrox for a game on a Saturday at 3 o'clock. And that's a top-class weekend of Glaswegian sport.
Well, what you do then? You go to Oban on, say, the Monday, do some shinty watch some shinty for a couple of days, have some seafood. Then you go over to the Isle of Skye for a bit of hiking, come back, get the train back down to Glasgow, then the rugby and the football. Perfect week.
Job's done. Job done.
Job's done. Talking of sports travel itineraries then, Emma, we want to put together your perfect sports travel itinerary. This could be just something that you really want to do or that you have done, but your perfect sort of sports travel itinerary. It might even be an adventure that you love doing, but what do you have for us when it comes to a great day out to a sports event or taking part in an adventure?
So for me, this is a sport event that I've not actually been to yet, but it's pretty high up on my bucket list. And it is to go to Kitzbühel for the downhill racing, where they race down Strife route, which is pretty much classed as the most difficult downhill race on the FIS Alpine calendar. I'm a massive ski fan, so I'm a massive skier. Like, I love going skiing. A lot of my holidays revolve around going skiing if I can. It's not always that easy, though, with the way football and rugby seasons work. So I have to, if I can steal a week here and there, it is great. But I would love to basically fly over to Austria, get myself to Kitzbühel, stay in, and I made a little note of this hotel that I want to stay in. It's the Tennerhof Hotel. It's a family-run hotel. It's got a lovely terrace that you can enjoy some lunch on. So ideally, I would get up, get the first lift, I'd do a little bit of skiing, get back down, only for an hour, so then I'd get back down, because the race tends to start about 11:30. To put this into context, over the course of a weekend in Kitzbühel, when the FIS Alpine calendar is in town, they get about 100,000 spectators, which is pretty bonkers when you think about it. They do downhill, Super G and slalom. The downhill is by far and away the biggest draw. That tends to attract sort of 40,000, 45,000 people to watch it. And it's such a challenge for the skiers, because, I mean, downhill itself is so dangerous anyway. Flying down a hill at 100, kilometres per hour without, with a helmet on. That's pretty much it. And in this, the sort of most challenging parts of Strife, when they take off, so if you're going so fast, you take off, they can cover 80 metres before they hit the ground again. I mean, that's pretty insane, I think. I think these guys are such phenomenal athletes. So yeah, I do a bit of skiing in the morning, get back down the hill, get my place to watch the downhill. And you tend to go down to the finish line because they have the big screen, so you can sort of track what's going on further up the hill. And, they have the cowbells, and, you have your Glühwein, and you have your bratwurst in the roll and stuff. And just the whole atmosphere is electric. It's amazing. I haven't managed to do it yet because my diary's never allowed it, but it tends to happen at the end of January.
I was
So
going to
that
say,
would
when does it
be,
happen? End of January. Okay.
yeah, tends to be about the end of January. So then after that, it's just a party atmosphere in the town because everyone's there milling about. Some people might go and do a little bit of skiing. Other people probably just head straight to Apri, which was not to love.
I love this
That's
because
what we're all here
essentially
for.
you're getting this is great because what you're doing here is you're actually participating in the sport by going for a bit of a ski yourself, and then you're watching those who are extraordinary at doing it take part in one of the toughest races there is. So you've got the best of both worlds with this sports travel itinerary.
Yeah, you're sort of side by side with your heroes as well because
Yeah.
they're doing it and you can't ski that course of course, but you may have skied somewhere else on the hill a bit further down earlier on in the day, and then you can incorporate
Yeah.
incorporate it into your week skiing. You can go for a long weekend, you can go for a week, whichever way you want to do it. I mean, I would obviously say you'd probably have to book up early, given the demands of accommodation and probably flights and things like that for a weekend
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list. I mean, I don't really get starstruck very often, but last year when I worked at the Paris Olympics, I did the red carpet interviews for the celebrities arriving at the opening ceremony, and I got to interview Lindsay Vonn, who is one of my sporting idols. Because, I mean, football and now in rugby, these guys are fantastic, but, it's not somebody that I get to interview very often, and getting to speak to her was incredible. So that, I just mentioned it earlier, just the respect I have for skiers who put their bodies on the line. I mean, you think of those speeds, and if you catch an edge, it is. I mean, I've caught an edge a lot of times, and it hurts, and I'm not
Yeah.
going anywhere near that fast. So,
Yeah.
that would be one. And I've never been to the Masters either. The Masters golf, that's on my bucket list as well.
Have you entered the ballot for 2026?
No, I haven't,
I
but I
have,
should.
but I mean, they say it's a less than 1% chance
Really?
of
Okay.
being successful.
I mean, I
This,
entered the ballot at Wimbledon. I've been to Wimbledon a few times, and I love that. I mean, I think that's another tennis tournament. If you can go to any of them,
yeah,
go
yeah,
to Wimbledon because Roland Garros is good, but I find the crowd's not quite as involved as they get at Wimbledon. So yeah, I think Wimbledon as well. But I got tickets to the Wimbledon ballot a couple of years ago, and I actually saw it on your Instagram story that the ballot was open, and I registered and I got tickets. So thanks,
you're welcome.
belated thanks.
Well, I can also confirm to you that the ballot for the Masters has shut
Right.
on
So it was
Friday,
next
just
year
gone.
then,
So yeah,
or the
next
year
year.
after.
Yeah, unless you want to pay the quite extraordinary fees for hospitality.
I'll watch it on telly, thanks, because you can see everybody.
Yeah, exactly, and you can have your own hospitality at home. So it's
Exactly, exactly.
it's a great substitute. Yeah, it's a great substitute. Roland Garros, yeah. At the Wimbledon, I have actually got tickets in the ballot, so I am going there next week, and very much looking forward to it. The only time I've been to Wimbledon is for the London Olympics to watch the tennis at Wimbledon. But I've
Right.
not actually been to a Wimbledon Championships.
I was
So
lucky enough actually to be in Marion Bartley's player box when she won Wimbledon all of those years ago because my friend was her strength and conditioning coach, and she was such a left field winner. She sort of came from nowhere. She wasn't
yeah,
in
yeah,
the best of form, had
yeah.
stopped working with her dad as her coach, and so it was really bizarre. But I've got tickets for this year as well, so I'm very much looking. I went last year. I'm looking forward to going again. It's a great event if you've
It
never
will be,
been.
yeah. What for you? What do you say? If you haven't been to Wimbledon before? What would you have to do during that day? Obviously, your strawberries and cream, but just
Yeah,
explain to us a little
Pimm's.
bit of like the vibe for the day. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pims.
and I think making sure you go around all the courts because some of those outside courts you can just go and take your seat, but you actually see some brilliant tennis on these outside courts. Don't be disheartened if you can't get into centre or court number one because actually on the other courts you can soak up the atmosphere. You can go and sit on Murray Mount, Henman Hill. I don't know what we call it these days, but
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then also once Wimbledon's finished, head up the hill into Wimbledon Village because there's a great atmosphere in there. A lot of people, head up
yeah,
there, have a couple of drinks, bite to eat.
yeah.
Like the sort of party atmosphere continues up there. A friend of mine also organised the picnic. So you can pre-book a picnic that you can pick up when you get to Wimbledon
That's a
rather
good
than
tip.
yeah, rather than obviously going and doing your own shopping and lugging it all in. But you can get like a blanket and it might be about £10, maybe more expensive than what you'd pay if you did it yourself. But I think you just basically go and you collect it and then you can go and take your seat and have it. Like my friend said that was absolutely brilliant.
That's a great tip. Yeah, and What? Because you'll get your Wimbledon merchandise as well by doing that, won't you? I presume you get some sort of hamper and
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's different price brackets. So you get like a hamper, or you can just get like a cool bag or whatever it is. But yeah, there's different ones. Because I looked at it last year and I never ended up doing it, but I think I might do it this year.
Yeah, the cheapest option is just a slice of cheese, a bit of cold ham,
and some water.
Yeah. And you go all the way up to your deluxe cheeses.
Exactly, with your bubbles crackers. And all these things.
Yeah. Okay.
Chutneys.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. It's a great day out, Wimbledon. So that is a very good tip. Thank you for that. And I'm actually on the way next week to experience. I'm going to do the camping before. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to film a video about how you actually do the camping at Wimbledon to then make sure you get in the next day.
I hope it's not raining. For your sake.
So do I. And also, I haven't quite figured out, because I'll be on my own. I haven't quite figured out what happens when I need to leave the tent and go and get some food.
Convenience.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens at that point? Hopefully, I guess I just have to make friends to the people next to
me.
The
neighbours.
But I'm going to give it a go, because it is one of those unique things about Wimbledon, and it is one of those ways of getting into Wimbledon if you haven't got a ticket. But not many people actually know. How do you actually do it? So I'm going to go and investigate.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that, because I actually wouldn't have a clue how to even go about organising that.
Yeah, all I'll say is if you're about on the Sunday night, if you could just come and say hi, check in on me. Yeah, you're right, Tom.
I think I am flying down on the Sunday night. So I'm going on the first Monday, and then I'm going a day in the second week as well.
So I'll be camping on the Sunday night. So
I'll FaceTime you from a bar in Chiswick.
Please do. Could you bring me a drink?
It's quite interesting, that conversation though, of being a solo traveller, because you just said, I was travelling a couple of weeks ago and I was on my own and I was doing some work, and then this girl next to me said, oh, are you going anywhere? Like, can I just leave my stuff here while I go and check what my flight time is? It's quite, you do have to trust people when you travel on your own.
Yeah, you do. The most annoying time I find when you're traveling solo is if you just go for a drink and you found a great bar and you've got a table on the terrace and the sun's shining, a brilliant view, but after a couple of drinks you need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you're sort of like, right, what do I do here? Do I leave my bag, which is full of all my laptop, cameras, whatever it is, or do I take the bag with me? Or it's
and then
a tough
lose the table. Yeah, it's a total dilemma. You basically just have to make friends. I think that's the bottom line, isn't it? And trust the person next to you that's not going to steal your bag. But you're basically saying to somebody you've never met, would you mind keeping this for me for a minute?
Yeah, and you basically make a judgment purely on like, all right, I'll start a conversation, and if they seem nice, I'll go with it.
Yeah, totally.
It's a hard one to master, but we get by. So yeah, any help on the Sunday night before Wimbledon starts on the Monday will
try and remember that.
Yeah. Wimbledon, of course, quite close to home for us, of course, for us in the UK. But you've travelled all over Europe with work. Where's the most far-flung sporting event you've attended or been to country-wise?
After I left Dubai, I moved home, and then I basically went straight to Rio to do the Summer Olympics. That's the 2016 Olympics in Rio. And I'd never been to Brazil. That's the only time I've been there. But I was there for like 5 weeks. And I didn't really get to travel as much as I would have liked because the job was so full on, like all encompassing. But just seeing Rio and sort of experiencing it through a lot of the stories that were told from some of the athletes, the Brazilian athletes, who had grown up in favelas and then made it onto the Olympic stage, and the way the city as well had been transformed. I don't think that regeneration plan is quite fulfilled its potential now, but at the time it was full of hope, and it was so interesting to see that totally different, the Brazilian spirit, the culture, Copacabana Beach, and all of the sort of meat feasts and foods, and it's a total assault on your senses, the samba music. I mean, it was absolutely incredible.
Monica Puig, who won the Olympics that year, won the tennis tournament, of course, was on the podcast a few weeks ago and was saying, I mean, in Rio, she was just so overwhelmed with the carnival atmosphere of that few weeks. I mean, Rio and the Olympics, it's a match made in heaven, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. Like the whole, even like from the volunteers who were welcoming people, it was brilliant. It got a lot of negative press because of some local politics, but actually as something to be part of, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I actually went to some of the I went to some of the tennis. I went to see the athletics actually when Usain Bolt was running. And so like there was loads of really cool stories about it. And like I say, there was loads of really nice Brazilian stories of kids that had come from nothing and won a medal in the boxing or whatever it was. So seeing that type of thing and seeing Rio, probably in its best light because there was so many different people there, was amazing. And then 2 years later, I did the Winter Olympics in South Korea in Pyeongchang, which again
Brilliant.
was like another absolute shift change because it was minus 30. I remember arriving and being like, I mean, how cold's minus 30? I'm a skier. Like, I'm used to being cold. Oh my goodness. Like, I was walking outside my apartment. I was crying and couldn't even feel it. Like, that's how cold it was. Again, like I'd never been to Korea. I flew into Seoul and then went to Pyeongchang, and just the cuisine, the buffets at breakfast, and like so interesting to go and experience that culture.
Yeah.
We actually had a couple of South Korean students at my school when I was growing up, so I knew a couple of South Koreans, and they'd brought over some different sort of delicacies and different things at school, which I'd experienced. But then actually to go over there, and I mean, South Korea is such a unique place that to get to sample it myself, I didn't have enough time to really go into Seoul and sample it myself because I had to come back. But I wanted to go to Japan and do powder snow skiing after the Olympics. But again, like a family situation meant I had to come straight back, so I didn't. So that's still also on my bucket list, powder snow skiing in Japan, but that's for another day.
That sounds great. They call Seoul, I think they call Seoul the Dublin of Asia, because
Right.
they do like a drink there, don't, and they
They
like a
definitely
party
do.
as well.
Definitely do. Yeah, and but like we were like in a really, like Pyeongchang itself wasn't so big, the part we were staying in, and then we were going out to the IBC, which was out by the ski resort about 45 minutes outside of the city. So but you were going past like all the farms and where they do the fish drying. They hang it out over the wooden frames and it basically salt dry the fish to keep it for those cold winter months and things. But just experiencing Korea was incredible as well. It's so different.
It's been discussed on this podcast a few times in the early few episodes of this podcast, but how the Olympics are such a special sporting occasion for essentially bringing communities together in areas you may necessarily not have travelled to previously or were planning to go to. But like you say, South Korea, what a great way to experience that country. And the Olympics is so good for that, isn't it? To put the attention on a destination and to show off its best highlights.
Yeah, I mean, even Rio as well. Like I said, there was
Yeah.
so much negativity politically around what was going on there. But it was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Even Paris last year, I mean, we've touched on it. I lived over there in the city, but to see the city as a Olympic host city, it was so different to the Paris that I lived in because of all the fanfare and infrastructure. And just, it brings a city together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
focus on the security and all of the extra hassle that you have to go to these major events, but actually, well, it's for your own safety. But the underlying element of the people that you meet and the personalities is absolutely brilliant. I couldn't recommend it highly enough of going, even if you don't go and watch any actual Olympic sports, going to
Yeah.
a host city when they've got
Yeah.
the Olympics is
Yeah.
such a rewarding experience because you strike up conversations with people in the street and cafes and in restaurants, and it's really brilliant. I mean,
Yeah, no,
that was my
I
third
agree.
Olympics, and it's really, really good.
I mean, it just brings out the best in a city, doesn't it? And like you say, everyone's in a good mood as well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So now, Emma, it is time to find out what your Planet Playground is. This essentially is a destination that you adore, which you love, for its destination itself, but also for its sports and adventure highlights too. So, Emma Dodds, tell us what your Planet Playground is.
My Planet Playground is Melbourne. I absolutely love it. I was lucky enough to visit it when I was working in Dubai, so it wasn't too far. Wasn't as far as
Yeah.
going from the UK, but
A bit
I
closer,
absolutely
yeah.
love it. And what ideally
Yeah.
I'd like to do, perhaps when I retire, is go for about 3 months. I'd like to go down to be able to do the Melbourne Cup, which is in November. So do that week at Flemington with the horse racing. You've got Derby Day, then you've got the Melbourne Cup on the Saturday. And then, maybe travel, go up the coast, go to some vineyards, go see the sights in and around it. I know that there's great horse racing, great stables, all of these ones around Melbourne. And then stay on to maybe go to the Boxing Day test at the MCG,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
stay on into the Australian Open, tennis, and then, I mean, if time is really not an issue, you could hang on till about March to do the Australian Grand Prix as well. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've got a 5 month window to spend. But I love Melbourne. I love the food. I love the coffee. I love the way the city is grid-like. It's very like Glasgow. I love it. And I love the sport. And I love the proximity that you have of everything in the city as well. Absolutely fantastic.
You have opened up a can of worms here because I also adore Melbourne. And like you, I mean, I used to travel to Melbourne quite regularly from Dubai in the jobs that we had and what have you. And what a place it is for its sport, its culture as well, its seasonal weather. I love it all. If it was closer to the UK, I would go there every year. You know, it would be
100%.
that's
Yeah.
where I go. Let's start on its sport then, because it has everything. And as a sporting city goes, Grand Prix, tennis, horse racing. It's got a great rugby scene, Aussie rules, of course. It's got a great football scene as well. And what I love about it is that I mean, it was the first city in the Southern Hemisphere to host the Olympics. And that essentially sporting district that was built for that Olympics now stages so much of its sport, the MCG there as well. You walk in there and it's like a sports theme park, isn't it? The Australian Open's in there as well. Literally everything is sort of in different zones around the same district. And you could go in the morning, you could go to this sporting event, cross the road and go to another sporting event in the afternoon. It's just marvellous.
Oh, it's marvellous. And we stayed in a hotel not so far away from the stadiums. So you could just walk across the road. And there's a brilliant sport museum. I think it's in the MCG that we went to. And it is incredible. It's got like Ian Thorpe's trainers, which I mean are off the scale of this screen because his feet were so big. The old Torpedo when he was winning, Olympic medals and things like that. The other thing I love about it is pretty much, it might have just been the crowds I was socialising in, but pretty much everybody there loves sport as well. They love doing sport at lunchtime. Everyone goes out for a run. The weather obviously helps, but you touched on it. It is seasonal weather, which is one thing I really missed in Dubai. I love the fact they have seasons there. But yeah, so they've got this lovely weather at this time of year. Everyone can get up in the morning, go for a jog, and they go alongside the sort of riverside. There's great food, fantastic, great coffee. And then, like you say, you can go in and take in another sporting event. You're totally spoilt for choice.
And also, it's not far to travel. I think it's only an hour or so in the car to get down to the south coast, isn't it? And then the beautiful coastline. You're right about the vineyards in the Yarra Valley. The other, talking of restaurants, bars, along on the river in the city centre, there's a wonderful bar that's almost on a barge as well because the decking sort of stretches out over the river. It's right outside Flinders Street train station. I forget the name of it, but there's a brilliant bar there. And then there's a bar in the middle of the river, but like underneath the bridge, if you can remember that one. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have a look.
We went to one you had to go into a casino and then go upstairs, and it was like a bar stroke club, and it had a lovely big balcony that overlooked the river. And in the evening, the river was like shooting out flames and stuff, and it was really cool, really, really nice. And Guy Grossi as well, when I went down there, I actually met him, he's a chef. I think he used to actually do a TV show in Australia, like a food TV show. And I met him when we worked in Dubai. He was cooking at an event and I met him and he said, make sure you let me know if you ever come to Melbourne. So I emailed them and we got a table there and he came out to see us and the food was unbelievable. Guy Grossi, it was an Italian restaurant smack bang in the middle of Melbourne. And I mean, this shows you how small the world is, right? So when I was growing up watching Rangers, they had a player called Tony Wiedmar, left back, and I was sitting in the restaurant and I turned around and he was sitting behind me. He was an Australian player. And I was like, wow, hi Tony. How very bizarre. Yeah, but it was that was a great restaurant. Yeah, very good. But yeah, Melbourne, honestly, if you're heading that way, go to Melbourne.
I think the MCG is up there, isn't it, as one of the best sporting venues in the world. And Melbourne, of course, also has the Marvel Stadium. I'm not sure if it's still called the Marvel Stadium, but the other big stadium in the city. But the MCG, you mentioned the Boxing Day test. I think that has to, if you can tick that off in your life, you're doing well. But just to go to the MCG, even just for a stadium tour, to see it, it's over 100,000 capacity, isn't it? It's what a sight that is.
When we went, there was like a local county match on what we would call county cricket over here, and there was about 100 fans in, so it wasn't. But it was still cool to see a cricket match. And then when they went off for their interval, we were able to go and stand on the side of the turf, so we were actually able to go down onto the grass and just stand there. It's like a coliseum. It's how I would describe it. It's so intimidating that I can't even imagine if you're the two guys at the crease for England
Yeah,
in the Ashes,
I know.
against that crowd, it
Yeah.
would be quite an intimidating arena. But yeah, it's something special. Yeah, like you say, even if it's a first stadium tour, go, because even if you're not even into cricket, as an actual stadium, a sporting arena, it's one of the best, and you can feel the history in it. I'm a big believer that you can feel history when you go into stadiums. Like I think even if it's empty, you can sort of feel what's gone before you, type of thing. And that makes me sound like a bit crazy, but I genuinely believe that.
It's actually quite remarkable how versatile that stadium is as well, because it's obviously used for cricket. It's used for Aussie rules. I've
Hmm.
been to a grand final there, which essentially is like
That's
Australia's
another
Super
one that
Bowl.
I'd love to go to.
Yeah, the grand it's essentially like Australia's version of a US Super Bowl, isn't it? And it's halftime entertainment and all of that. That was a spectacular day, and that's a great time to go to Melbourne because, of course, they do the parade with the
Hmm.
two teams a couple of days before the big game and all of that. Yeah, it's a great place. Also at the MCG, I mean, football as well is played there a lot now. I remember at the end of last season, Newcastle United played there in the
That's right.
post-season
Yeah.
tour of Australia. They played Tottenham at the MCG. So you can see all sorts of sport in that stadium. But yeah, just to see the stadium, whether it's for a live sporting event or just to walk around it and have a look, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And it's just a cracking city.
And they all say the Aussie Open is it's the happy Open or the fun Open. How do they describe the Australian Open in tennis? It's like the Grand Slam that's everyone has a great time at.
Good
Everyone's in a
time.
good mood.
Hmm.
The Party Open, is it? It's one of
Party
those
Open, I
things.
think it is. Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
Party Open. Yeah. And it is
yeah,
because Wimbledon's obviously got its sort of rules and regulations
yeah,
and traditions, whereas I think the Aussie Open, it's basically just come and have a good time, which is
yeah.
what we're all here for.
Well, Emma, Melbourne is your Planet Playground. We'll add it to the list. And yeah, what a wonderful Planet Playground that is. So much sport, loads of adventure, and all importantly, vineyards close by as well.
Exactly. That's what I look at, the proximity of vineyards.
Well, Emma Dodds, it's been wonderful having you on the Planet Playground podcast today. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights of travelling the world through sport and adventure. And what a journey we've been on. It all started in the northeast of England 2 weeks after I was arrived into the northeast of England. But then the Isle of Skye you went off to. Then, of course, lived in Paris as well, and all of the sporting events you can enjoy there. We then took a journey across Europe, places like Portugal. Braga is definitely somewhere to go with that stadium that you mentioned built into the rock. So we have to do that. The atmosphere in Dortmund and the food, the sheer colossus nature of the Bernabeu, and of course, Belgrade for an intense atmosphere. We've been to Rio for the Olympics. We've been to South Korea for the Winter Olympics. We've been in Dubai and all of the sports events that you can enjoy there as well. Austria, your perfect sports travel itinerary. And we finished off in Melbourne. It's been quite a journey, Emma.
It has. I'm exhausted even listening to you reading that back. But what a great way to see the world, isn't it? By going and enjoying sport. I mean, it's our ideal existence, pretty much, isn't it?
And that's the whole point of Planet Playground. It's our planet is our playground. We go and watch people play. We play ourselves, and we enjoy traveling, but through the mechanism of sports travel, because it brings, like we've said with the Olympics, it brings communities together. You make great friends. You share great experiences. It's a great way to see the world.
Yeah, it definitely is. And with that, you get a taste of everywhere that you go as well. So you're getting your sport fix, but you're also getting your culture fix as well, because you can go and do a little bit of that, eat some of the local delicacies, and then go and watch a great spectacle. Some better than
Absolutely.
others, I have to say.
It's been brilliant listening to your experiences on the podcast this week. So thank you so much, Emma, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much for having me. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching this Planet Playground podcast. As we discover our world through its best sports events and adventures, you can watch much more right here.